Hi, welcome back to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your companion or guide, however you want to view it, into the world of Chinese. And we have been taking on this journey of getting deeper into the Chinese language and culture every day by just learning a little bit, one new expression a day. Yesterday, we talked about 分崩离析. It's not pretty word. In fact, it's an ugly word because it describes the status of being disintegrated. Things are not united. Things are crumbling down. But I guess because it's part of life, we have such an expression, 分崩离析. Today, we're going to continue with the character 析 in a new phrase, 解析几何. I like this one a lot because it talks about math, type of math. So before I tell you what math that is, probably have seen it on the title video, but we're going to go one by one to see how Chinese import this concept of type of math. Okay, 解. You see this word got 3 components. Normally, Chinese characters 2 components or by itself. 3 is kind of getting crowded, right? Because we only have limited space over there, but we do have the horn. So this is the horn symbol. It sounds like a 角. It also means corner, like the corner of places. 角. The top, we have seen a lot of this in 解析几. In the yesterday's 分崩离析, we have this knife sign. So you can see this is how we express the knife. And the bottom is the animal bull or ox. Chinese, we don't really distinguish the two. So it's that animal that got horns on it, and we have a knife over there, so pretty bloody butchering thing, right? So that's exactly the source of the meaning the butcher cut up the horn of the ox. So that using that kind of cutting up motion, because Chinese, we have a popular article about the process of cutting up an animal by the butcher, right? I mean, for the meat, but it's not an easy task. You have to know how to cut it up without hurting yourself or unnecessary strains. So 解 simply means the right way. You can solve the problem with relatively ease. So that becomes the carryover meaning of this cutting up animal body butchering process. Okay, 解析, we already talked about it. It's an axe cutting up the tree, right? So the axe on the right side, the tree on the left side. So imagine that cutting tree motion. In the era of deforestation, not nice thing. So this is not a nice picture either, but it depicts the motion of cutting up. So you have cutting up animal, cutting up tree next to each other. Okay, and then we have 几何. This is an amazing word. Okay, because it's very simple, because in Chinese, a lot of big concepts are in the simplest ways. A few strokes, it can depict a pretty, often frequently used, and one is useful. Two, it really, words also have hierarchy, right? Not all words are equal. Some words simply contains a lot more depth and meaning in it. So this is one of that. You see the original of this 几 looking like that, like elongated arch, right? But it's not like a tunnel because in ancient times probably no tunnel construction. But that's actually furniture in-house, right? furniture of in the old times before the era of chairs being invented, that we also have something to sit on, that we have our legs, comfortably kind of resting on the floor, that you have some higher elevated place to rest your butt, right? So before the chair, people have to sit on the floor, and because in long time sitting, it becomes tiring, right? So people have this furniture to kind of cushioning the back, so you at least have something to recline to when you're sitting on the floor for a long time. We can imagine that, right? So this word came from that piece of furniture. I guess it's pretty commonly seen, used in a household before. But eventually this word becomes its abstract form, and that's more commonly used. That could mean few or a few, simply a variable x, or even better, here it comes. It's the commonly used math symbol n. So that means the number of samples, or the number of counts that we're talking about. This number n looks almost like this Chinese character ji, except it got this little tail thing to kind of tell you this is not accidentally drawn, arch. This is a character, and that means we don't know how many, but a few of them, or few of them. English have this positive, negative, a few scenario, but Chinese, we just put a ji over there. It's okay, you don't know how many. It's a number x or number n. I like to view it as n. Okay, so that's kind of abstract concept, come from a piece of furniture. Okay, 和. Okay, just so you know, this is also a family name. 和 is a family name. And isn't it cool when you see it's actually a he in English pronunciation, right? It's a male, but in the surname, of course, it could be both female and male. And it's pronounced as a he instead of he. Okay. So the he, this word is left and right. The left side is a person symbol, right? So we know this is a person, and then this is, slanted, simplified side, put aside kind of person symbol. And the right side means 可. 可 is the sound maker, right? So you can hear 可, 和, right? So this means original meaning is like who is that? Because we have a person over there, right? And then we have a sound combined with something about a person. So here it's simply the wondering, like the question, the suspense of who is that person. And from this who, right? English, we have a bunch of W's: who, when, where, what, right? So all that are questions, like we don't know, we don't have the answer. And it's a part of the, the main thing in the question we ask, where, what, right? In Chinese, we just use 和. And then combined with, if it's a time, about when, we use a time character after there. 何时 means when, and 何地 or 何处 means where, right? So it's like what place, what time. And then 何人, right? 何人 means who, right? And what else? But it can also mean, like in English structure, we have like how cold it is today, right? So we can also use this 和 becomes how, like. Anyways, a lot of Chinese characters are very, very versatile. and we just use it in all kinds of situations in combination with other characters to kind of pin down in that context what that character means exactly. So 解析几何, you have cutting up the animal, cutting up the tree, and then you have a question mark of what. So 几何, now we know 和 can mean what, who, when, where, and how, right? All the 5 elements in journalist reporting are there in this one character. And then we have a 几, like a few, number, count, how many. It's an integer count, right? Because this is like you cannot, it has to be like a full number. So 几 means number, right? So 几何. So instead of saying 和几 over here, like what many or how many, we put 几和几 in front of her. 和 means few what, right? So that's like how many. So we have cutting, how many. Okay, so some smart translator use this to express the concept of cartesian. Cartesian, I don't know, Descartes, okay, this dude, Descartes, mathematician in the 17th century, come up with this system of geometry called analytic geometry. So that's our concept, 解析几何. 4 Chinese characters, involves cutting and counting to explain this concept of analytical geometry. Just take a moment to admire that kind of cross-cultural concept translation, because analytical geometry, before Chinese people get to know it, it's pretty abstract to like, well, what that is, right? Exactly like 和物, like what that is. But analytical geometry, it's one of my favorite subjects, actually. It visualizes numbers. It visualizes the relationship of numbers. Me right now working as a statistician or data analyst, I look at this analytic geometry all day long. And this is a gift from this wise man from 17th century. And he, Rene Descartes, came up with, he is one of the inventors or godfathers, if we say, of a whole discipline, or school of thought or operating or framework about combining numbers, algebra with geometry. So you have a number and then you have a space. You visualize the numbers in the space and all kinds of calculations, methods, because you now have the tool to visualize numbers. Then you can do a lot more, right? It's like understanding something more tangibly, right? Before, algebra is pretty abstract, but now you have a system to look at the numbers, exactly where things are. So that's great gift from the past. And this guy came up with the saying, I think, therefore I am. And apparently he is some thinker. And I don't know, like that's the Enlightenment era, the 17th century, a lot of new thinkings, a lot of adventurous spirits to come up with new ways of looking at things, including this 解析几何 analytic geometry to, at the onset of the era of industrial revolution, right? When you have to be really quantifiably manage the world. So that comes in handy in time, but it's really one of the greatest gifts from the past, that we can look at the world in a rational way and things are quantified, are put in this great line that you can cut things up, right? Not animals, not woods anymore, but it's really cutting up a big problem. And then you have the quantifiable method to count things up. So that way we can really measure our world and operate our thinking in this framework. So there you go. Analytic. 解析几何. Thank you for your time with me. Hope you come another day continuing this journey. Thank you.